Three, two, one, action. Welcome back to episode 39 of As Seen on Screen. I'm Gracie.
And I'm Nicole, and we're your source for entertainment news, reviews, conversations, and more.
You can find us wherever you watch or listen to your podcasts on Spotify or YouTube.
Well, welcome back. Thank you so much for tuning in to another week here of the show. We are now coming to you officially from two different sides of the world. Gracie is at home in Canada, and I am in Australia in Sydney for school for the next few months. So we are filming this on two completely different days of the week. It is Sunday for me and Saturday for Gracie. So this is going to get a little bit of getting used to on our end, but we are nonetheless excited to bring you all of the latest in entertainment news. And let me tell you, this week is a very long week, as you can tell by the running time of this episode. So buckle up. We have a lot to talk about. We have the Critics' Choice Awards, we have the Grammys, we have a very long list of upcoming release dates for film and television. We have our reviews of our latest film watches and listens for music of the week, as always, and our upcoming releases for the next week. So let's kick it all off. Like I said, with the Critics' Choice Awards, there were some, I don't know, surprising still isn't the right word, but it was just, I feel like this award season is such a toss-up in so many ways. Not even a toss-up, just unpredictable. It's been very unpredictable. There's the word. So, Gracie, what award are we starting off with?
Let's start off with Best Director. I personally feel like this director got snubbed for the Oscars, didn't even get a nomination, but made one of the best films of the year. That's John Chu for Wicked. He won Best Director, which is so well deserved, especially considering how great it did at the box office and all the promotion and all the fan love. This just feels very right to me, but it also feels very upsetting because I know there's no chance he's going to win the Oscar because he's not even nominated. So you win some, you lose some.
I think it's crazy that it didn't get an Oscar nomination, but next year we know Wicked for Good is also going to be out there. It comes out this coming November. So I feel like if Wicked doesn't do as well as fans would like to see all in all during award season this year, there's like possibility for a redemption arc next year when it comes to award season again with the sequel.
I mean, keeping it on the redemption arc. What do we have next?
Yeah, so Best Picture and Nora took it home, which I am so thrilled about. It's really funny because this film was front runner, like we've talked about, going into award season. It's still, I don't know what the latest leaderboard is, but it's still got to be pretty high up there. But Nora was in the talks to just take home everything from the Globes to the Critics' Choice to the Academy Awards going into this season. Then we saw at the Globes, of course, Anora was shut out, which was crazy to see. Got lots of Oscar nominations. It's racked up many nominations. And then now it's taken Best Picture at the Critics' Choice, which I couldn't be happier about, honestly. I enjoyed this film a lot. I think it's a great film to see for anyone who still hasn't. If you still haven't, I mean, what are you doing? But I'm happy to see it's getting some of its recognition that it deserves, at least with the Critics' Choice. And this gives me hope that it is a strong runner still, maybe, we'll see, for Best Picture at the Oscars.
Listen, redemption was the theme of Critics' Choice Awards because I have to bring up the fact that Best Score went to Challengers, who also did not get an Oscar nomination, which is ridiculous because the Challengers soundtrack and score changed lives.
The Critics' Choice really does speak more for
The people.
like the Academy. I just can't get over the feeling that they're a little bit snooty, a little
There's a
bit.
bunch of old people that couldn't
Yeah,
admit they were vibing to this playlist.
literally. When I think of Challengers, I can't help but go like, mm.
Yeah, it like gets you upbeat. It's like techno. You feel good. You feel like very energized. And I don't know, they just didn't take that serious at at the Academy, but thank God for the Critics' Choice, being honest.
Honestly, and even they couldn't make up their minds on a few of them. We saw a not a few of them. On two movies, there was one tie for an award for best comedy. It went to both A Real Pain and Deadpool and Wolverine, which it's weird to see it up against Deadpool and Wolverine together because I truly feel that A Real Pain is definitely more of a drama. It's definitely a lot more about like emotions, and connections between people, between family members, between friends, between strangers, all that kind of stuff. And to see it up winning a comedy award beside Deadpool and Wolverine, which was like a 2 hour non-stop joke fest.
Yeah. It kind of reminds me of The Bear. How everybody's like, it's not a comedy,
It's
but
true.
it's always winning.
Yeah.
So, sometimes it's just like that. But like I also laugh at the fact that Deadpool and Wolverine won after all the controversy of the Justin Baldoni jokes. But also the intro to the Critics' Choice Awards, where they mentioned it ends with us
Yes.
and all the drama.
You know what? Chelsea Handler killed it. I really do like when she commentates award shows. She's funny.
This is our petition to have her and Nikki Glazer do all award shows.
This is why the females need to be doing all the commentary for award shows. But I am excited for Conan O'Brien and the Oscars, so we'll see how
Sure.
that goes. Well, I was also very excited. My horror heart was thriving again that Demi Moore took home Best Actress. I still feel so like, okay, on one hand, I am very happy because I'm very happy that horror is receiving this recognition. In award season, we saw Nosferatu take home the Cinematography Award, which I'm also very excited about. But on the other hand, I just like I don't know. There's so many great performances this award season. I am very excited that Demi Moore personally is getting recognition because she has had such an amazing career with very little accolades to show for her successes. And so I'm very excited to see that she's finally receiving those. I just feel like there's so many movies that I loved this year and so many performances specifically for the females that it's hard to like really strongly root for one person. I just wish they could all take home the
In
awards.
our eyes, everyone's a winner. No, I gotta say, I was pretty happy with Best Young Actor or Actress. Maisie Stella won for My Old Ass. I love the Stella sisters. I met Len and Stella, so nice. So I've always been rooting for them, and seeing her win this award and having it chosen by like critics is so good. She's so talented, and I'm glad she's getting the recognition.
My Old Ass was one of my favorite movies of last year for sure. I saw it a few times in the theater. I really loved it. Maisie Stella is absolutely incredible in the movie, and she's born in Oshawa, our little Oshawa.
Canadian girly.
And I always remember my parents watched the show Nashville when I was growing up, and her and
Hmm.
I were both on that show. So I really it makes me happy to see her receiving this award, and I cannot wait to see where her career goes because I'm sure so many doors have opened up for her following the major success that this movie has had since early last year at Sundance.
Let's also not forget her and her sister performed a tribute to Taylor Swift.
Yeah,
So
that there's
they've
like
always been icons.
there's nothing more nerve-wracking I can imagine, actually.
Yeah, no, but they killed it. So it makes sense that she would kill this too.
And last up on our list for awards to talk about, Best Actor in a Comedy Series. Turn it over to television for a second. Adam Brody won for Nobody Wants This.
And you got Big Smooch.
Yeah, he did. Leighton Meester started crying. It was really cute, but I am very happy that he won this because this was my personal, like, really wish he would win it vote at the Golden
Mhm.
Globes. So I was very excited to see he won it for the critics. See, this is just, I believe, the critics. We
The
speak
critics
for the
know
people.
what's up.
We speak for the people. Not that Gracie and I have any say in this awards, but
They they're
um,
like the Lorax, but for entertainment.
for real. Oh my God, I love that. That's like the unofficial title now of film critics.
Keeping award season going, obviously, we also had the Grammys, which is music's biggest night. And you know what? I'll say it. It was controversial. It basically, to sum up the night, was Cowboy Carter and Not Like Us, and then a few pop girlies in there, which is fine, but also a lot of people don't agree with some of the awards that were won, which is understandable. So we'll get to that after. But starting off on a high note, Chappell Roan won Best New Artist as everybody basically assumed she was going to. And she gave a beautiful speech basically calling out the industry and agencies for not paying and not supporting artists and saying that they should put their money where their mouth is. Of course, people had thoughts about that, specifically men. And someone wrote a piece, yeah, and he was saying that Chaperone is basically just a whining person who is a child and doesn't know anything, and she should actually put her money where her mouth is instead of just whining about it. And in true Chaperone form, she took to Instagram and called out this man and said that she would do, I believe, 25K of her money if he put 25K his money so they could actually make a difference. And she proceeded to take his words from the op-ed that he wrote and use them against him. But after she was done her shading, she posted a bunch of smaller indie artists trying to give them a platform and saying, look, I don't care what happens to me, but here are some artists that aren't getting recognition that should. So, personally, long story short, I think there's no one more deserving of her for Best New Artist this year, but also the fact that she took the chance to call out the industry for being horrible to young artists and artists in general, and then actually doing something with it and putting her money towards it when she gets called out.
She faces so much criticism for like there's been a number of articles and instances that have happened over the last few months, and she faced a lot of backlash for it. But I say good for her for standing up for herself and all of the young musicians and really just anyone else in the music industry with that speech and taking a time to use her platform in that space that she was given for a few minutes to say something impactful and something meaningful to her and so many other people in that room and beyond. So
Play Chapel.
well, going back a minute to what Gracie was saying at the start of this Grammy spiel. So, Cowboy Carter, Beyonce, there's a bit of a sweep there. The album won Album of the Year, Best Country Album, and then also for Country Duo and Group Performance for her song with Miley Cyrus. I have some thoughts, and I know that there's going to be so many people who love Beyonce. And listen, I'm not saying I don't like. I still love Beyonce's like older music that I grew up on. But I will say, as a very diehard country fan, my entire life, I don't know if I'm vibing with it taking country album of the year home. That's
Yeah,
just me. That's just me. I know a lot of people liked it, and that's totally fine.
to each their own.
Personally, wasn't a big fan.
I'm
Texas Hold'em was everywhere when it came out. It was on repeat everywhere. Is it catchy? Absolutely. Is it my country album of the year at heart? No. But hey, if people loved Cowboy Carter, I'm happy people loved Cowboy Carter. On the other hand, also Gracie mentioned, Not Like Us also had a little swoop of its own. Kendrick Lamar song won Song of the Year, Best Rap Song, Best Music Video, and Best Rap Performance. And listen, this song is also one that has been everywhere. So much discourse, obviously, between Drake and Kendrick Lamar and all the stuff
we are Canadian.
that feud. But I was surprised that it took Song of the Year up
I was
one.
shocked by Song of the Year and Best Music Video. The rap part, completely understandable. But Song of the Year? You're telling me Espresso wasn't the Song of the Year? Be so for real.
Like, I think it's pretty, I've made it pretty clear that like Kendrick Lamar is probably not my musician of choice when it comes to what I listen to. So
No,
I'm maybe not the best person to have a discussion about this because I don't necessarily listen to his music a lot. But
Nicole, there's no way you can't tell me Espresso wasn't the Song of the Year.
Espresso has been everywhere since it came
Thank
out.
you.
I like for it to win Song of the Year, I was very shocked by that.
Yeah.
Shocked.
Speaking of Espresso, Sabrina Carpenter won Best Pop Album, which once again I was not surprised by. It was between her and Chapel. So I'm very happy that she finally got acknowledged after 6 or 7 albums. She finally got her Grammy. She got 2 Grammys. She got one before the show as well. Um, she's just very deserving. Her speech was great. Her outfits were phenomenal, and her performance. I literally FaceTime Nicole so she could watch the performance with me. It was so good.
It was great. We had all the reactions to the outfit changes, the
Yeah,
nice
my mom
dad.
sat with us.
Gracie's mom. We have to have Gracie's mom on the podcast, specifically commentating an award show. Like we should do an Oscars recap with your
You
mom
know, we should do looks,
commentary.
red carpet
Yes,
looks. My mom would love to comment on those.
she has opinions, and I love it.
We should get both of our moms to comment on looks. That'd be slay.
To round out our Grammys recap, Doechii became the third woman to win Best Rap Album. So congratulations to her. That is a very exciting achievement. Um, yeah, that was the Grammys 2025. So much happened.
So much Trevor Noah hosting. A lot of people were mad that he was making such a big deal to donate to the fires when he's literally in a room with like millionaires and billionaires. But that's a whole other topic that we're not going to get into.
I
So,
think you said it best earlier that the Grammys are always somewhat controversial.
somewhat. And then this year they took it up a notch. They were like, let's piss people off.
Well, into our news category, there is a ton of announcements for release dates for film and TV over the next few months. But let's kick it off with one of our favorite festivals we've talked about on this show a lot. South by Southwest in Austin, Texas is just around the corner. The festival this year is between March 7th to 15th, I believe. And we just got the full lineup for the film and TV part of the festival. So let's go over it a little bit to kick it all off on opening night. We have you know what, I'm gonna say this is pretty anticipated for the fact that this has been talked about for a long time and seeing like, are we gonna get a sequel? We've been told we're gonna get a sequel, and now we're getting it, and I'm very interested to see what this looks like
Mhm.
with the first reviews coming out of March. But Another Simple Favor, the sequel to A Simple Favor, starring Blake Lively, Anna Kendrick, and Henry Golding, is kicking off the festival, and it will have its release publicly on Prime Video on May 1st. But it will kick off South by Southwest on its opening night premiere. Gracie, what are your thoughts on this?
As soon as Nicole and I saw this post, we started giggling because they're like, one, they are so messy for this. They know what they're doing.
So messy.
Opening night with Blake Lively and Anna Kendrick is killer. Because not only do we have the It Ends With Us drama with Blake and Justin Baldoni, but we also have the rumor that Anna Kendrick cannot stand Blake Lively. And the fact that like the director of this film has had to come in and be like, no, none of that's true, but we've still yet to hear anything from the cast and crew is crazy. So I'm here for it. I'm ready for the drama. I'm ready for the reviews. I have a feeling it could either go really well and do great, or it could not do well and tank because I find it strange it's not having a theatrical debut like the original did. It's going to Prime Video, which is kind of strange, but I don't know. It could go really bad because of the PR and bl stuff that Blake's been having. It could bring the movie down, or people could go see it because of the drama and be like, let's see how it is. And then it does really well because people are going.
Yeah, my biggest thing with this is it going straight to Prime Video when the first movie had a theatrical release, like you said.
And did well.
And I remember seeing, I went and saw the first movie in theaters, and I enjoyed the first movie. Like that's still a movie that I don't mind rewatching from time to time if I'm just looking for an easy rewatch movie. I have to say, I really like the poster. The poster is very
I do,
like,
yeah, yeah.
I really like the poster. We have yet to receive many full details of plot and everything, but I believe this one takes place in Europe. I want to say Italy is where this film takes place in. So I'm very intrigued at least to get the plot, see what this looks like. But my biggest flag for now is still that it's not getting a theatrical release as far as we know. And it's just opening for that festival and then going straight to Prime, which is just very interesting. Like that doesn't usually happen all that often with sequels. So I'm not sure that sets it up super well, but we'll see. But then we also have a film that Gracie and I have both seen already, closing out South by Southwest on Swift Horses, starring Daisy Edgar Jones and Jacob Elordi, closing it out, and Sony has announced that it will have its theatrical release on April 25th. So you can catch that closing the festival, or you can wait a month later until April.
I'm gonna point out something I realized, but
Oh no.
Sometimes movies can do well without having a theatrical debut. Sometimes they can just go to streaming from festivals, specifically South by. And one that did go to Prime Video from South by was The Idea of You. And it did well. So there's hope.
That is true. You know what? It's funny with On Swift Horses because I think Gracie and I have pretty different opinions about that film. I
Yeah.
enjoyed it, Gracie not so much, but I did enjoy that film. So I think it could definitely, especially just the names themselves, it'll definitely pull a big audience at South by for sure. It'll be interesting to see how it does in theaters. I still think it'll do well. It's definitely more of like a period piece, drama piece. Um, Slower for sure. If you're not into like a slower drama, not the
It is
movie
not
for
swift
you.
horses. It is slow horses.
Okay.
I've actually seen someone write that in their review, so you can't even get mad at me for that.
That is so funny. But also in the lineup, we have Accountant 2, The Studio, the upcoming series going to Apple TV Plus starring Seth Rogen and Catherine O'Hara is also premiering for TV at South by Southwest. We also have Drop. That looks great as well. Oh, and Death of Unicorn. So Will Poulter is there for two
Mm.
films.
Yay, Will
Here.
Poulter. I
But yeah,
love that he's having a resurgence.
so yeah, there's a lot of interesting films on the lineup this year at South by Southwest. I think personally, Gracie and I, like both of us aren't going this year. So I'm sad because I just love the atmosphere at South by Southwest. So hopefully we get to go in 2026. But I do slightly think that we got pretty lucky with last year's lineup because last year's lineup was sick. I loved last.
Last year's lineup was fantastic.
But I'm interested to see, I'm very, very interested to see in a few weeks how A Simple Favor gets reactions from the press and public after its debut there. We're going to know a few people that are going there. Jordan, one of our guests, I believe that we had like our very first guest on the podcast last year. I believe she's going back again for her little company that she has started up. So I'm very intrigued to see what some of our friends and other critics think about these films. So we will see in just a few short weeks. I can't believe that was almost a year ago
Crazy.
that you and I went. That is crazy.
That means we've been like good friends for like a year.
Oh, guys, we're having a little moment
Um,
here. Well, moving into other news, Gracie, what do we have going on over at Hulu?
Ellen Pompeo will be portraying Christine Barnett in the upcoming Hulu series Good American Family. This show is based off of the real life story of Natalia Grace and also stars Mark Duplass. Good American Family will be coming out on Hulu on March 19th.
Yes, well, also moving over to a different streaming platform over on Tubi, we got a sequel announcement this week. One that came pretty fast. The film that came out at the end of last year, I believe in November,
Mhm.
Sidelined, The QB and Me, starring Noah Beck and Sienna Agudong. They released a video, a cute little video on Instagram of them FaceTime each other announcing that there's going to be a sequel. It is officially in the works with Tubi. So you know what? I am kind of interested to see what this sequel is because as cringy as this movie is, it's one of those movies like we talk about Your Fault, we talk about this movie, Sorry Gracie, but we talk about the after movies. They're a little cringy, but they're all like guilty pleasure films. So anyone who's seen it knows
100%.
this is definitely a guilty pleasure film for sure. It got a sequel announcement very quickly. It's only a few months after its release of the first movie, so I'm very intrigued to see where they go with this story, what they do with the storyline and the characters. There's many possibilities of what they're going to interject into this relationship. Usually we see like a love triangle situation, kind of like the sequel for To All the Boys. Maybe we're going that route. Who knows? But we are getting a sequel. It is in the works, so we have that to look forward to.
Yeah, and over on Netflix, I'm super excited for this one, but season 3 of Squid Games is set to premiere on Netflix June 27th. This will be the final season of the show, but with the way season 2 left off with such a huge cliffhanger, I cannot wait for this to be out. I need to know what happens. I need to know how it ends. I'm sad.
I was thinking of you the other day because when I was at the Luna Park here in Sydney, they have a big Squid Games exhibition thing where you can buy a ticket and actually compete in some of the games they have in this
I
show
would die.
without the death part. And they have a bunch of merchandise for it, and I was laughing. I was like, oh, I should bring Gracie home a mug. Well, over on Netflix, we have a lot of Netflix announcements because they did have their new to Netflix type press conference thing happening a few weeks ago. Shonda Rhimes is back on the scene with The Residents, starring Yuzo Abduba. It is a crime miniseries set inside the White House. We know Shonda Rhimes loves her like crime dramas set in the White House. We're back with Scandal. No, but this is premiering on March 20th on Netflix.
Yeah, another Netflix one, Ginny and George's season 3 will premiere on June 5th. Also super excited for this one.
I feel like it's been so long since the second season.
This is the problem I have with streaming platforms. They take
Yes.
like years to film something, and then we have to wait years for them to film the next thing. What happened to cable TV where we could have things within a week?
Well, think about it. The first episode came out on, like, the first season came out February 24th, 2021. That was still like COVID times. That just seems like a lifetime ago. And that was season
Since
one.
then, I have interviewed 3 people from the cast.
Well, over in the movie theater, we have a number of theatrical releases also having been recently announced. Kicking us off on the list here, Megan 2.0, which my sister will be very happy about, is having its theatrical release on June 27th. Everyone's favorite AI horror doll is back. I'm saying favorite sarcastically because she's not my favorite, but
I
I'll
will say
like
it was a sleigh that she was dancing to Chapel Roan. I heard that and I was like, okay, you got me.
the announcement video was pretty funny for it. I every time I think of Megan, all I can think about is the dance scene in the first movie, and I just remember sitting in the theater watching this movie thinking, what is happening?
I that's so funny. You think of the dance scene and I think of the scene where she's explaining why we use coasters to Katie, the kid. And it's just like, that's so cool. And the parents like, what is going on? I only think of that scene because Netflix kept posting it, and I was like, this is so dumb. I'm like, I can't wait to see what they come up with for this sequel.
And considering how the last movie ended off on, I'm just like, why? Why?
But speaking of scary, spooky movies that Gracie probably won't see for a while, we have Final Destination Bloodlines is having a theatrical release on May 16th. I was just telling Nicole that I really want to watch these movies because I hear such, I can't say great things about them because like they're a horror movie, but like I hear good things about them. My
Oh, what
anxiety
was
can't.
that slander there against
No, like it's not gonna be like
Horror?
breathtaking. It's not gonna be like a cinematic masterpiece that I've been like, whoa, life changed. The only way my life will change is I will be scared of things.
You know what? Honestly, the Final Destination movies, I love watching this series. But I have to say, I have developed a bit of a not even a fear because I love roller coasters, but in the second movie, they have the opening scene at the amusement park with the roller coasters. And every now and again when I'm on a roller coaster, I do think about that scene. And as I get older, I'm like, I feel like this is more of a possibility now that I didn't really think about too in depth when I was younger, but that's okay. They have released a teaser video for this happening in like a piercing tattoo shop. So I'm very intrigued to see what this movie holds. There's a lot of horror like franchise sequels happening right now. We have I Know You Did Last Summer, hopefully coming out later this year, I think, as well. Of course, we have Scream 7 in production right now. So many different franchises going on. But pulling it back to what's actually coming out pretty soon, May 16th is a busy day because we don't only have Final Destination Bloodlines, but we also have Hurry Up Tomorrow, the film starring The Weeknd, Jenna Ortega, that is also coming out on the same day. So there is our first 2025 doubleheader movie theater trip right there. Final Destination's Bloodline and Hurry Up Tomorrow.
In a bit of happier news, the something I didn't even know I was expecting, a new Smurfs movie is coming out, and it will be releasing theatrically on July 18th. This time, Smurfette is played by Rihanna, and this is alongside James Corden, Nick Offerman, Sandra Oh, Octavia Spencer, and Nick Kroll. Honestly, Nick Kroll is killer for voice acting, so I'm okay with this. But I find it so funny. We're going through like pop girlies for Smurfette. Obviously, we've had Katy Perry play Smurfette. We've had Demi Lovato. We've had Megan Trainor. She hasn't played Smurfette, but she played Smurfette's like long lost sibling. I don't
Yeah.
know. We're just getting pop girlies in Smurfette, and Rihanna was not who I was expecting, and I know everybody's probably making this joke, but like, how did we get a Smurfs movie with Rihanna before we got a new album? Someone explain that to me because that doesn't seem right.
The only weird thing I have about this movie is so I watched the trailer and tell me why. So the animation, first thing everyone noticed is the animation's different for this Smurfs movie. It's just titled Smurfs than some of the past ones we've seen in the last decade or so. But then also Gargamel is also animated how the Smurfs are animated, but we see in this movie, similar to past ones, they go to the human world and it's all like regular like human world looking and they have people who look also not animated like just people, but then you have Gargamel animated, but Gargamel is a person. I'm so confused.
A lot of the comments that I saw were like, this looks half done. And I agree with that.
I just,
But you know what? Don't knock it till you watch it.
I mean, listen, I loved the Smurfs when I was a kid, like the Smurfs movie, the Smurfs
The TV show was the TV show was the original and it was killer.
I don't know. I was just not expecting a Smurfs movie to be on the 2025 released calendar, but here we are. And you know what? I'm really not complaining about it because I am, let's be honest, we're gonna go see this.
Well, you're going with me.
Well, to move on a little bit to our last date we have, Picture This, starring Hero Finds Tiffin and Simone Ashley, will premiere on Prime Video on March 6th. And hey, maybe this is going to be like the idea of you, and this is really going to pop off. We'll see.
I'm literally sat for anything Hero does. Like, let's be so real. I loved him
For
in
after.
After. He- Anything this man does, I'm like, okay, I'll watch it. He was the original Nicholas Galitzine for me.
Oh gosh. So basically, what you don't know about Gracie is she has life-size cutouts of these men hiding in
I
her.
do not. I thought about it, but I do not.
Wow, you've made your birthday gift so easy this year.
For real. Anyway, moving away from that. Judy Blume is back on the scene with the television adaptation of her 1975 novel, Forever. The series does not yet have a release date, but it will release to Netflix later this year. So, yet another release for Netflix.
I'm so excited for this. Forever feels like such. I remember so many girls specifically that I went to school with reading this in like the eighth grade. And I feel like this is such like a moment in time. Like, you know, my mom always introduced me to the Judy Blume books as I was growing up because she grew up reading Judy Blume books. I grew up reading a lot of the Judy Blume books.
Am I the only girl who's never read Judy Blume?
Judy Blume, and you're a big bookworm. What do you
My mom
mean?
tried to get me into it when I was a kid, but I hated reading when I was little, so I never got into it. Sorry guys, my first book was Harry Potter. Actually, that's a lie. My first book was The Secret Tree. Really
Wait,
great book.
you're telling me you've never read Tales of Fourth Grade Nothing?
No, I've never read a Judy Blume book.
Tales of a Fourth Grade Nothing. I don't know why that's such a vivid memory for me, but I remember my first grade teacher, Mrs. Risby. Shout out to her. I loved her.
Shout out her.
I loved her. I remember her reading those books to us. Like literally, I was 6 years old in the fourth grade, and I loved those books. We had "Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret." Loved that book when I was a kid too. We had that film come out with Rachel McAdams, not long ago. I cannot believe you've and like Blubber. Oh my God, you've never read Judy Blume?
This is like every week I add to the list of things I haven't watched or listened to or read that Nicole just loses it over.
I'm calling your mom after this, actually. We need to
She
have.
in my mom's defense, she tried. I just couldn't get into it. There is a new Buffy the Vampire Slayer series that is currently in the works with Hulu for a pilot. Sarah Michelle Gellar is very likely to reprise her role, but she also just did an Instagram post saying that she will not allow this to happen or be doing it if it is not absolutely perfect, which I have much appreciation for because obviously we've talked about it before that we don't like when you just do like cheap reboots or like, spin-offs. So the fact that she keeps this so near and dear and says like we're not doing it unless it's 100% perfect, I give her props for.
I'm so here for like the 90s Sarah Michelle Gellar reprisals of everything. Like we have I mean she's not in it, but I know what you did last summer. She was in the original for that movie.
You never know. She could be in it. She could make
That's
a
true,
cameo.
but she keeps pretty hardcore saying she's not in the new one, but I mean that's her
In
job.
fairness, Andrew Garfield was the same for Spider-Man, so
That's true. I'm kind of crossing my fingers that she's in it. But if she does end up doing this Buffy the Vampire Slayer series sequel, I will be very sad for it. That's very exciting. Okay, well, but on to well, at least my favorite part of these shows, our weekly watches. I'm so excited to talk about my weekly watch this week. Gracie, what is your watch of the week?
I started The English Teacher last night with my mom because it got renewed for a second season and we were looking for something fun and like short to watch. The episodes are only 22 minutes, so that was in our time range. Uh, it's honestly pretty good. The first episode we were a bit iffy just because it wasn't super funny and this is supposed to be a comedy, so I was a bit worried. But once you get to the second and third episode, it starts getting more comfortable with the characters and the storyline. It's all about being a teacher and being a person in like the modern world and how kids are changing. It's like they're very woke now. They're very worried about getting in trouble. So it's just fun playing with all of those different characters. The lead is obviously a gay English teacher, and he's very open about his sexuality with his students. And it's just cool to see the different dynamics that every teacher has with him. So, The English Teacher is a pretty good show, got renewed for a second season, so check it out. What was your watch of the week, Nicole?
My watch of the week. So I will say, I have a movie I'll talk about, but I have committed to starting Modern Family over again from
Oh,
start to
love.
finish, watching every single episode in chronological order. I've watched Modern Family, like I have to have at least watched it like 6, 7 times in my life. Like I just constantly, I've said this before, it's always my background show. But now that I'm in Australia, when I'm having some downtime, I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna rewatch Modern Family from start to finish. Guys, I've been here for 2 weeks. I'm already halfway through season three. I have a problem. But in my defense, they're only 20-minute episodes and there's like 23 episodes a season. Okay, it's still a lot. But flying through
You're
them.
trying to make it look better, but you're like,
Trying to.
no,
It's
never
not helping.
mind.
But my actual watch of the week, which I was so stoked to finally see, Companion. It had to be the first movie I saw in theater here in Sydney, and it blew me away. Like I expected it to be, starring Sophie Thatcher and Jack Quaid. I have to say, I really like Lucas Gage's character in this as well. I don't want to say too much about it because there are tons of twists and turns, and I do agree with all the reviews that say you should go into this movie blind. Don't even watch the trailer, just go into it fully blind. I promise it'll make the viewing experience so much better because there's so many twists and turns in this movie that you don't want to see coming beforehand. It just elevates that experience. So I will say I loved the performances. Sophie Thatcher is just so incredible, especially in this horror genre. I will say this movie's like I wouldn't necessarily call this like hardcore horror. Like Gracie could definitely do it. This is my bar. This
Gracie
is
is
my
very
bar.
excited. Why am I talking third person? I'm very excited to go see it.
Grace, this is like a tame horror film. It doesn't really get any like gruesome shots in until a little bit into the movie. So it's not too bad. Definitely is not like spooky
I
scary.
love that our rating chart has become whether or not Gracie will watch it.
It is. I'm just saying, I think you would really like it. Sophie Thatcher blew me away as I thought she would. She's so great in like the horror thriller genre. It's so funny to watch her in these roles because like her role in Heretic, her role in Yellow Jackets, her role in this movie Companion is so different from how she is in real life. And I think that always makes me enjoy their roles more because when I spoke to her at TIFF this year briefly for Heretic, she's just the sweetest human being in the world. And then you see her in these roles where she has like she's more standoffish, she has like attitude. In this one, you definitely see her being more of like a love bug in this movie a little bit, and then of course it takes its turn. But I really love watching her on screen. Jack Quaid, I really love watching him on screen, and I'm very excited for Novocaine in March, I believe, coming
Yeah.
out. I'm so excited for that movie too. So Lucas Gage, like I mentioned, was great in this movie as well. So many positives about Companion. I'm trying not to say too much because I don't want to give anything away. So that's why I'm not trying to go too in depth about it. But I really, really, really suggest going to see it in the theater, and try to stay away from any spoilers or like learning too much about the plot because it is so much better to go in blind, and just to see it firsthand, those twists and turns without having any prior knowledge of what's going to happen.
Well, moving away from that before Nicole spoils anything for me, um, what was your song of the week, Nicole?
Girl, I'm so happy you asked. Morgan Wallen. Morgan
Just
Wallen.
like, I never knew you were gonna ask this question.
Morgan Wallen has done it again. He has now in the last year released four new singles, and he has just announced his upcoming album and his upcoming tour. He has announced his upcoming album, I'm the Problem. He also released the title single as well, I'm the Problem. So great. So now we have Love Somebody, Lies, 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 Smile, and I'm the Problem. So he has said his album, and the Problem, is coming out later this year. He hasn't given an exact release date yet, but I'm sure it'll probably be before the tour gets super underway, I would guess. But he has so many surprise guests coming along on tour with him, like Thomas Rhett is coming with him, Miranda Lambert, Brooks and Dunn. Miranda Lambert and Brooks and Dunn are the two guests on the two different nights in Toronto. If you're going to be there, it's very exciting. So much to look forward to for his music, and go stream I'm the Problem because it's so good. What is your song of the week, Gracie?
I'm gonna pull you. My song of the week is an album of the week. Treat Myself Deluxe by Megan Trainor. Came out in 2020 and it got me through 2020. Okay. It got me through a lot. But sometimes, when you're just hitting shuffle and like a song comes back to you and you're like, oh my God, I completely, like, I didn't forget about it, but forgot how hard it went. So I've been re-listening to the Treat Myself album and I absolutely love it. It's so underrated. It's criminally underrated. And I've told her this. I have told her this. Specifically Wave, which is so should have gone on the charts, should have been a hit. But for some reason, I think it was a little bit of COVID. Everybody was just like in their own world. It didn't do as well as it should have. But yeah, Wave and Treat Myself Deluxe by Megan Trainor will forever be one of my favorite albums. And yeah, good. Oh, so good. It actually has a song with Len and Stella on it. Um, so if you want to check that out, and the Pussycat Dolls. So, you know, she's got some bangers.
Well, moving in to our last segment of the show, our upcoming releases starting with today, February 13th. We have My Fault London over on Prime Video, which, guys, it's quite genuinely a copy and paste of, of My
The way
Fault.
I had to explain this to Nicole, and she was like, "No way."
And then we got the screener for it, so we're filming this a few days before this episode comes out, so we're gonna be watching it tonight, I think. But like when I tell you the synopsis is the exact same, it's the exact same characters, it's the exact same story, except British instead of Spanish this time. So
Woo!
if you
On Netflix, also on February 13th, we have La Dolce Villa, which is a new movie.
then over on Netflix, they've been busy over on Netflix.
For
Also on
real.
the 13th, we have Cobra Kai season 6 part 3 dropping today as
They're
well.
really enjoying their parts.
They really are taking advantage of splitting up the season.
And lastly, on February 13th for Netflix, we have The Exchange Season 2.
Heading to Valentine's Day, also Friday. Tomorrow, February 14th, we have Captain America, Brave New World. We're seeing Harrison Ford as Red Hulk, getting a
And Anthony Mackie as Captain America.
whole new chapter here. So that is in theaters tomorrow.
I mean, if you're looking for a double feature, also in theaters on the 14th, we have Paddington in Peru.
Over on Apple TV Plus, we have the premiere of The Gorge,
And then on Peacock, we have Bridget Jones' Mad About the Boy.
which if you're like me and not I did not know this until Gracie told me this. I didn't realize that this movie was not getting a theatrical release in North America, but it is
I
getting a
know.
theatrical release here in Australia, so that is weird.
Sometimes life works out.
Then we also have on Max Waitress the musical.
Back on Netflix, we have Love is Blind, season 8. Also on Netflix, we have Mellow Movie.
We also have Valeria season 4 on Netflix. And rounding out February 14th over on Paramount Plus, we have Yellow Jackets season 3.
Then on February 16th, this is very anticipated Saturday Night Live 50th anniversary special, which will be happening at 8 p.m. on NBC.
I'm so excited to tune into that. I'm so very excited. And then also on the 16th, we have The White Lotus season 3 over on HBO. Heading to February 18th, we have Court of Gold on Netflix.
And we also have Offline Love, which is also on Netflix. You have Win or Lose, which is a new series on Disney Plus.
Well, that is all we have for today. If you are still with us, thank you so much for sticking
You're a
through
real one.
all of that today. So much to go over. We had some extra stuff obviously there. We didn't have an episode last week, so we were excited to fill you all in on the last few weeks of entertainment news. So as always, thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of As Seen on Screen. I'm Nicole.
I'm Gracie, and you can watch or listen to us wherever you get your podcasts on Spotify and YouTube.
We'll be back for the same time next week. See you then. Bye.
Bye.